I agree that you can drive a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, or whatever. If the brothers and the elders, that the deacons that want to be like you buy it, then go right ahead. But if you standing in a pulpit talking about it don't really matter if the light bill due, and I'm on the church bus, church van, and you passing by us, what? With the money I just gave you, or when I get home, I flick the lights, and you just said it don't really matter.
We are back. See, you got me nervous. You told me you trusted me.
I gotta go back to another episode of Podcast Official Page. All right.
It's the podcast. We ain't the cable guy, but we your Comcast. Come take a seat. We need to speak and we can all laugh. Last Monday of the month, 7:30. Zoom in, chime in. We be talking dirty. It's the podcast. We ain't the cable guy, but we your Comcast. Come take a seat. We need to speak and we can all laugh. Last Monday of the month, 7:30. Zoom in, chime in. We be talking dirty. This is the podcast. This is the podcast. This is the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
This the podcast. This platform for you. It ain't for me. So let's hear what you got to say.
This has been the best broadcast we've had.
So welcome to the podcast. Our topic of discussion for this month, or the question that we are posing for this month, is, should pastors drive Lamborghinis? I'm not talking about, let's just say, a pastor who happens to pastor a really small, like, storefront church, but you know, he was rich before he started pastoring the church and showed up with a Lamborghini. I'm saying the lifestyle of a mega church pastor. What are your thoughts on them having Lamborghinis or any type of fancy foreign car, private jets, you know, custom suits, living in mansions, et cetera, et cetera?
I think that we got to realize that church is a business. Church is a business. Let's be reality. I mean, everybody can talk about the spiritual and stuff like that. Church is a business. Now, the question, I guess you got to go a little bit deeper, is what is he doing in the community? Or she, let's correct it, she, doing in the community. Let's say this individual is out every day. You may be driving a Lamborghini out in the community, feeding the poor, clothing people, in the schools, doing all those things, not just on the pulpit saying, give me money for my anniversary, which seems like for these mega churches, their anniversary comes by multiple times a year. But so I think that's the question for me. Now, if it's a guy who I see who's always, a person I see who's always in the community, always doing things, always helping in the community and doing those things, and they have a big church, then that's a successful business, which their business happens to be religion. Now, some of the other ones who you never see them in the community, but yeah, you do. I'm sorry, you see them driving their Lamborghini, you know, to maybe a fancy restaurant or whatever, or wearing their cufflinks and diamond cufflinks. But those I have a problem, because to me, they're basically just taking the money in and spending it on themselves. So I'm kind of up in the air in regards to that.
Okay.
If a person runs a great business, hey, they should benefit from that. If they're not and they're just stealing money, they shouldn't.
A question before I let you go. Is there a difference between, just say like the pastor's physical presence in the community versus like, just say like their church being in the community? So like, let's say like their church and their volunteers or whatever are heavy in the community and they drive a Lamborghini, versus the pastor, him or herself, physically out there as well and driving a Lamborghini. Is there a difference, or as long as the church is in the community?
No, I mean everybody.
Okay.
They got to roll up their sleeves too. If I just see their church members, you might as well just saying they're like a plantation leader. I mean, all their people are out in the fields, plowing the dirt and stuff. but they were sitting up there drinking their iced tea.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I think that if you got to me, if I see a pastor's in the community, and there's a few in our area in Atlanta, who aren't in the community, but yet they're on their jets and they're driving their Bentleys, Lamborghinis, whatever. I have a problem with that, because I think your job, and you have taken this job, God has given you this job, is, I mean, if you go back to the Bible, did Jesus, he sent his disciples, but he was out there walking too. He had as many bunions as everybody else in there. So I think it's got to be the pastor as well as his church.
I would say, like he said, what's happening in the community? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that preacher doing with that money? Because he, you know, like in reality, you can get somebody who knows how to use money, and they can take a bunch of small offerings, save them up, invest them right, and then translate it into something else. But if it's off the backs of the people and it's like a God complex involved, nah, that shouldn't be the case. It should be that position is a position where people get help. And if a Lamborghini is going to hinder people from being helped, then I don't think it's wise to get it. Even if you can on your own, you forfeit the right to be able to live that kind of life. And like I say, unless you've done the work to make sure it is without a doubt, like, oh no, that he ain't getting that off of us. He putting in work. He got a lot of things going on. He's doing this, like, as I understand it, Jake's in particular has not taken salary from his church in a long time, because he got his books and all of this other stuff going on that can provide that lifestyle. Now, was he doing it at first? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was taken from the church at first, but once he got into a position where he didn't need to, allegedly he stopped. But I think there's a lot that goes into whether or not that's a real question or not. Like, how large is the organization? If you got 30,000 people tuning into you, and let's say hypothetically everybody gave $1, you got $30,000 coming in on a given day. That's decent. You know what I'm saying? And affordable. If you got people giving $5, you know what I'm saying, that number goes up even more. And in a single getting that kind of money, 4 times a month, if you do it for every Sunday, that translates into some hefty funds. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, the reality, or the reality that I live in, no. But if it's a situation where the gains are being gotten with respect to the people following, and the preacher's doing the right thing for it, then yeah, absolutely.
And does that go as high as, just say, even like a private jet or something like that? Or are you talking about strictly like cars?
For me, that private jet thing is kind of, I'm tainted, because I seen that Kenneth Copeland clip where he talked about riding in a tube full of demons. And yeah, I'll behave like a demon if I ever got on the airplane with Kenneth Copeland, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I you know what I'm saying. Like, for me, and it's just from mindset where I sit, there's a lot of other things that can be happening with that money. There's a lot of people that you can help get into a better position. And I ain't necessarily talking about handouts and giving people, but, like, to me, I think that there should be more. There should when you got a financial situation like that, I'm certain there are people in the congregation, a congregation that loud, that large, that have the know-how, they have the drive, they just don't have the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, do things to try to find those people and put those people in a position to better their lives and possibly better a lot of other people's lives. And, like, I think I seen something where Eddie Murphy bought Creflo Dollar a Bentley. He could have that Bentley because it was a gift from somebody who could afford to give it to him. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't say anything about that car because that was a gift. And like pastors that do the job right, man, you'll find people love their pastors when them pastors doing their job, doing the job in a way that people like. So like I said, there's a lot of different variables that can lead to the conclusion of a pastor having a Lamborghini or a private jet. But if those things are being gotten the wrong way, nah, you shouldn't have it.
Man, the way I look at this, the scriptures say, so you got some of these churches, you got the members that are strictly giving, they are giving out of necessity. It's being preached. And they've been preached, you got to give. And what if that person can barely pay their bills? But they believe in you so much that they're going to give you their last, but suffer in their natural life. That's a no-no. So the way I look at it is this. If that pastor is preaching God and not themselves, and if that pastor is prosperous because that pastor or that reverend took, their money, because you got reverends that took their money, and then maybe they did get some money from the church part of it, but if they use that money toward the church, towards the people, and the people are prospering and growing and not struggling, if that reverend is straight, living good, living on the high horse, and everybody in that congregation is struggling, that speaks for itself. So and then only that person knows, that reverend or that pastor knows what they're doing with that money. If you that money trying to start your own business with the church tithes and offering, that's not right. The money from the people goes towards the church, which is the people. Not what you trying to do. It goes towards the upbringing of God's house and the betterment of God's people. That's what that money's for. It ain't for him to buy no Bentley with that. That's my opinion. I don't think he should take no money from the church to buy no Bentley. You need to whatever you do get from the church. I believe you do want to appreciate your pastor or whatever. But like Brother Roger said, it ain't 4 in a year now. Some of these churches got 4 different ways to appreciate and get more money.
All right.
So, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of mega churches because you look at the numbers of it, and it's sad to say, but most of them are like, they're running in, it's all business. It ain't no love. And then some of these churches, they take all that money and they may do this or that, whatever it is with their church members to kind of give back. But if church, you're supposed to want to give back to everybody. You want to love everybody, not just the people in the church. So if you only doing stuff for your church and you don't look out for nobody else, you don't care, you don't think God got people everywhere else, then that's one-sided too, because you a church.
Right.
So that's my take on it, Rudy. I really believe this is how I feel for real, because I've been affected by something like this before in my life. But my situation, I don't consider it a mega church, but it's big enough for this stuff to be going on.
But one thing, talking about the Jets, you talk about that. One thing in this that I've heard, read, is with some of these preachers, some of them maybe not getting a private jet, but some of them have to take a private flight, because I've heard of, for instance, and some people like him, they don't, but Joel Osteen, when he used to take a public, his wife got accosted because, let's be honest, you got some crazies out there, some craze. And sometimes you have to be cautious in regards to doing that. Now, how it's paid for or whichever, again, I think my big issue is how it's paid for. Going back to what Drew just said, I'm not saying, like he said, you give away stuff to the community because, you give them I'm bad with Bible verses, so, but, you give them a fish they eat for a day, but you teach them how to fish they eat for a lifetime. I think that, again, you got to peel back the
Well, no, I have a meeting at
you got to peel back the onion. And do they have schools, Drew?
What's up, man?
Do they have schools for people to learn different career paths? Do they have, and is it free to its members? Do they have tutorial programs for the kids in the school? Do they have mentor programs? Do they do those type of things first? And going back to what Drew said, not only for their church, because that's a whole nother topic, where churches say you can partake in what we're doing, but you got to be a tithing member. I mean, it talks about tithing in the Bible, but nothing I've seen has said that Jesus turned people away because they didn't tithe. Now, they didn't believe? Yes, maybe. That's the other side of it. If you go and give to everybody, make sure you're giving all you wanted and teaching people how to fish. After that, a lot of these guys who get to the mega church level, a majority of their money is coming from books. Yeah, I mean, TD Jakes is coming from conferences they do. It's coming from speaker engagements and stuff like that. A lot of them, that's why they aren't taking salary, because they're making that. And TD Jakes, going specifically, TD Jakes, before he started, when he was in West Virginia, was washing cars and doing all this other stuff to take care of its church members for a long time. We see what he is today, but he spent many a years, taking what he had, and I'm sure his wife gave him the stink look when he got married, to take care of his church members. You know what? If he drives a Bentley, that's fine. If he does those type of things, because he did all that work beforehand. And he earned it, and most of it's being earned probably outside of the church anyway.
Sorry to interrupt, but I do want to let you know something just in case you're unaware, all right? This podcast actually is sponsored by a church. This platform was actually created by a pastor, Pastor Elmer Wilson, the pastor of New Beginning Ministries of Tampa. Listen, I know sometimes you may hear content on here that may not sound the holiest of holies, but that's the point. We allow people to come on here and express themselves and be themselves the way that they talk or the way that they think, the way they operate. It ain't no judgment. Hey, do you, boo-boo. Do you, okay? But nonetheless, if you live in the Tampa Bay area, we want to invite you to church, all right? 11323 North Nebraska Avenue. That's where we located, okay? Tampa, Florida. Pull up on us. You live in the Tampa area, pull up, man. We would love to see you. Okay, we'd love to see you. And if for whatever reason you can't pull up in person, you need to do a live stream, attend virtually, we go live at 12 noon every single Sunday. The real service in person is at 11 a.m. The live stream is at 12 noon, okay? On Facebook, you can watch it. On YouTube, you can watch it. Facebook is New Beginning Ministries of Tampa. YouTube, New Beginning Ministries of Tampa TV. Facebook, New Beginning Ministries of Tampa. YouTube, New Beginning Ministries of Tampa TV. Okay, we go live at 12 noon on the dot, and if you want to come in person, we go live at 11. All right, pull up on us, man. We'd love to see you. We'd love to see you. All right, come join us. Let's see your face right here at New Beginning Ministries of Tampa.
Welcome to the podcast.
All right, now go back to listening to this unholy podcast.
I just want to say that I totally agree and disagree at the same time. I agree that you can drive a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, or whatever. If the brothers and the elders, the deacons that want to be like you by it, then go right ahead. Go right on ahead. But if you standing in a pulpit talking about, it don't really matter if the light bill due, and I'm on the church bus, church van, and you passing by us, what? With the money I just gave you, or when I get home, I flick the lights, and you just said it don't really matter. And then another thing I will say is I've personally been affected. It don't even matter at this point in my life, but what I can say is when I was affected, my faith in a lot of things changed on church, but there's a specific church that I'm not even a member of, and I can call them at any moment, and do you know they have never turned me away? And they've never ever turned me away. And that it restored my faith, it restored my belief in, okay, because for a while it was like, you know, what I had been through was keeping me from just dealing with church, period. Because it do matter if I give you tithing, it do matter if I give you my light bill and you tell me it don't really matter, and then I call you and my children ain't got nothing to eat, and you talk about, I don't get to talk to you. Elder sister so-and-so said, when last time you paid tithes? You think I want to hear that?
Right.
So it do matter. It matter. I don't want to see you in no Ferrari. No. I don't care what you drive on a regular. I don't care about that. Even if you showed up in your Ferrari, long as it don't come from us. Because how we gonna dig a little deeper in the storehouse of the Lord? We ain't gonna be able to dig a little deeper. And you driving a Ferrari,
right,
and an Aston Martin and all that. Long as the men and the bishop, the women, deaconess, all that, as long as that group bought it, or Tyler Perry or whoever, Oprah, I'm fine.
all right.
Drive on, because they're gonna promote that. But when it comes to us and we can't get nothing from you, and the only time we can get help is from a church that somebody tell us about, and or whatever the case may be, and then they come through for us, but you want us to come to you, be a faithful member to you, so you can continue driving your Ferrari. That'll cause a real problem.
Yeah.
And that did cause a real problem, especially on anniversary day. It's too much love. That's too much love. Because their anniversaries do seem like it come up like every 3 months. It's an anniversary. For real. I mean, they might, I don't know, but I don't. That's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, don't drive. Yeah, it mattered to me.
I got you. I got you.
And do.
Yeah, listen, everybody. I think it's cool. Like it goes like what the gentleman said earlier. It's a business at the end of the day, and if they get it off their own merit, then you know they can. I'm sure if they drive a Lamborghini, I'm sure they have like. No, you said it was a small church that had a small church pastor that had a Lamborghini or something.
No, I was saying as an example. I'm not talking about a pastor of a small church who showed up with a Lamborghini already because he was already rich. I'm saying like the lifestyle of a mega church pastor.
Yeah. I think it's cool because like if like I said, they get it off their own like merit and off their own muscle. I don't see what's the problem. You know what I mean? And if the thing about it, just be like transparent in the sense of like for like Miss Joy for the cool they hard or like they have resources, that's necessary. But other than that, I don't see nothing wrong with Pastor having a Lamborghini or things of that nature. And because usually in that sense, members have nice cars as well. So I think it's like if you're a leader, you lead by example in a sense. In the not being too spiritual, but like in a way of leading the congregation in a sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah, both perspectives is okay. But me personally, because I'm a business owner, I have a small business, I'm starting to think of it like it could be okay and it might not be okay. It just depends on, the conditions of the church and the condition of the people. If the people ain't eating, they coming in and they got the dress on from last week and the slacks and the outfit from last week. They not eating. Where the pastor getting his bread from? I don't really know, man. I don't go to church enough really to really weigh in on this, but some of these pastors be doing too much. I heard another pastor, this off of like social media, come up and he was like, the pastors need to get out there and get it out the mud. They can't be taking the money from the congregation and the tithes and all that stuff from the congregation and use that to just fund their lifestyle. The pastors got to get out there and get it out the mud. He's like, get a job, do whatever you need to do. And if they are, if they are driving a nice car, they need to be at that church every day. Sunday's the only day you need to pull up. I need to pull past and see you out there doing car washes and bringing families in and telling them how you got it, because, us as a people, we have to start, believing that we can have these things. So the pastor, he might have got on his knees and asked God for all of that. So it might have came through, but if it came through on the backs of others, lights being cut off, kids can't have anything. And I think we kind of talked about this last time, about big mega churches and things like that. I think we kind of touched a little bit on that. Well, this is good that you kind of brought it back and kind of added to it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's fine just long as your people and your flock is good. I mean, you can't just be dripping off the Lambos and like you see what happened to the pastor in like New York who they just gave him like 8-9 years because he's making like, but he got on TV, big jeweled up. You gotta be careful when you're doing all that because people start digging all in your business. What's the purpose of having a Lamborghini or any of that type of stuff, really, other than flaunt it in front of your people? At some point, you look like the flock, like they hungry. They hungry, and they might come and get that Lambo late at night.
Yeah,
or put your head in the whirl spin. You know what I'm saying? Coming, you coming out with the missus or whatever girls with it. I don't want to throw no. What I'm trying.
Right.
I just really think that it really just depends on if your congregation is doing well, because if they're not doing well, they're gonna start looking at you as dinner, and you never want to look at as dinner. You know what I'm saying? You never want to look like somebody gonna eat you up and spit you out. So I personally wouldn't I'm like in between because like I said, I don't go to church enough. I do pray. I do, talk to God and my way. and frequent as I can. I'm trying to get better every day, dropping down, telling them, thanking them for everything. But we keep getting all this stuff mixed up. The money and the church. The church is really in us. The all that stuff is really us. You don't really got to go to church and see the pastor. You can just pray at home or look at it online now. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you have to be in attendance anymore. And wasting your gas and giving up your money at the thing. You decide to tithe. You tithe online. No, I don't really have to see. I just hope the flock is good. As long as the flock is good, we're all good. But if you're driving a Lambo, imagine me pulling up in a Lambo as a comedian or just me around all y'all. Well, I shouldn't really compare myself. All I'm trying to do is manifest a Jaguar truck, Lord. That's all I'm trying. I'm not even trying to get a Lambo, but God, if you give it to me, I'm here to receive it. I'm good.
I got you.
I'm good.
If we talking about church, we talking about God, right? So, and my pastor Elmer Wilson, teaching me now teaching us about love, and the fact that love is 6 of the commandments. So if you're a pastor and you ain't operating in love, then it don't matter how you got your Lamborghini, it ain't blessed. And a lot of times it ain't gonna last. So if you ain't operating out of God's love, it don't matter how you got that Lamborghini, it ain't gonna last, and it ain't gonna get you to the kingdom. It ain't kingdom like, so it ain't gonna matter. It ain't gonna be good for you either way. No matter how it is, it don't matter. It don't matter how you got it. It's gonna be the reason why you don't make it into the kingdom, and you'll be able to live this abundant life on this side, but it won't be a kingdom life,
right?
Because you ain't. God ain't gonna let you treat His people wrong and bless you. Where that come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's look like a blessing because it's materialistic. Now again, if He's operating out of love, helping people that in His congregation He know that need His help genuinely, whether it's paying a bill, whether it's getting them transportation, whether it's getting them food in their house, and He's genuinely doing that out of love, the way the Lord said that we should love one another, then by all means, get you a Lamborghini, have you a jet, as long as you're doing what the Lord say do.
My next question is, so we've been talking about, like, well, some people have kind of made the point, like, it depends on how the pastor got the money, how he acquired this Lamborghini or jet or whatever materialistic thing that he got, or he or she got. And then we even spoke about, as long as the flock is okay, as long as the people who support him, his congregation, the church is okay, then he or she can drive, fly, or live whatever type of lifestyle they want to. So I guess, so my question is, so is there a difference between just say like pastors in that lifestyle versus any other celebrity? So like your comedians that you support, rappers, musicians, actors, TV stars, etc. Is there any difference? Like, should they be able to live a lavish lifestyle as long as they make sure that you, as the supporter of their artwork, is taken care of? Or is there a difference between, just say, a pastor getting that support versus another celebrity getting that support?
There is a difference. There is a difference. And the difference is, between the difference as far as a pastor or someone that's leading the church and things like that, compared to a celebrity, having a Lamborghini and things like that. One is trying to tell the people to, you know, follow something higher, believe in something bigger. And the other is just living their life, you know, rock star, making the money, stuff like that. Now, I don't think that I think some of these celebrities are way too rich. That I believe. I believe the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's, and I'm sure some of y'all on here are fans or whatever, but I don't care. I some of them are way too rich and they ain't giving back. They need to, one, not per se give to us individually, but a lot of our money gets shipped across seas all the time, every day, the taxpayer money and all this, it just gets sent out. And a lot of our rich, I mean, I'll go on because a lot of our rich celebrities don't do nothing for anybody other than lining their pockets and the charities that they have to, you know, or they create when they're going to make money back on, when they get the returns or things like that, they get bread back. But celebrities are just different because, you know, they get out there and they act and they sing and rap or whatever they decide to do. And that money is going to come to them because they actually worked for that. Whatever way they had to work to get up the ladder to get what they got, or they work for that. But on the pastor side or the church side, a lot of that money comes in from their congregation or from the people. That's what I thought. I don't know. And maybe some government stuff, I guess, grants and stuff like that. But, you know, every week when I used to go to church a lot, let me backtrack that. I know I went to church a lot. when I was going to church with my mom and the family.
Right.
It seemed like a lot, but
Right.
But what I've seen, the money comes from like the people. And if you're taking away from poor people or people in whatever circumstances they are, it just doesn't help. You know, take that little Lambo and pay everybody rent. Take that Lambo, get the don't be in there talking about you need a building fund and you're driving a Lambo. There's no building fund. That Lambo is the building fund.
Right.
You know, so I just look at it a little different than like a celebrity going out and getting it. It's just a little bit of a difference between them both. And celebrities, they go through a bunch of 360 deals and all kinds of comedians. Like I'm they're funny than every comic out, and they eating. And Rudy, we just need to find out how to eat with them. Because that's it. I don't know.
I got you. All right, I got you.
I got
you.
What was your question? I'm laughing at CJ. I don't even remember what.
I was asking in reference to, is there a difference between like celebrities, you know, living the lavish lifestyle and pastors living the lavish lifestyle? And I guess, and should celebrities be just as concerned about their supporters, making sure that they eat as well and giving back the same way we're putting that requirement on pastors to do so?
I don't think that, I think celebrities should do for the people that support them. But there's not a mandate on celebrities doing for the people to support them. Whereas biblically speaking, there is a mandate for the pastors to oversee the flock, and overseeing the flock is not watching people freaking live terribly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that financial literacy should be a conversation in the church. I think that giving has to go both ways. I don't think preachers, like I said, if you got a pastor that's able to attract 1,000 people, he's going to have people. It don't take a whole lot to you know, like I said, 1,000 people, everybody get $20. That pastor just made a come up, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as, are celebrities obligated? Like, if that's what if that celebrity is selling that, then yeah, you're obligated to do that. But you know what I'm saying? That ain't in the paperwork for being a celebrity. The paperwork for being a pastor is kind of like, yeah, you supposed to make sure the people good. It just don't look good for ministry for the pastor to be driving around in the building fund. You know what I'm saying? Like, the optics on that is terrible. And yeah, so do I think celebrities should do for the people that support them? Yes. Yeah, I do, but I don't think it's the same thing as with pastors, because that's kind of a part of being a pastor, is to make sure that the flock has what it needs. Now, again, there's a lot of things to be considered in that, because I have pastored a church before. So I've experienced people coming consistently asking for help, but not doing anything to help themselves. And it don't look good, but the best way to help a situation like that is to say, okay, listen, you got to get out there and make it happen. Because I wasn't a pastor that was collecting a bunch of money from the people. I got out and worked every day for myself. I made sure I outworked everybody in the church, at the church. I would preach a message and you turn around and I'd be the one cleaning up the sanctuary after the service was over with. Because I just wasn't letting anybody have anything to say about me. But you know, like it's a complex situation. But you know, as far as the mega church level of thing, like those preachers got a lot of money. They preach money, and the people are giving with the expectation of getting a financial blessing, and that's not a biblical teaching. It ain't like, oh, if you give me this, I'm going to give you this. That's not a biblical teaching. So, yeah, I think that celebrities should get back, but I think preachers like have to, because that's a part of the job.
Man, it's celebrities that work their tail off, and nobody helped them. They worked their tail off to get where they was. And I don't care if it's a musician, a writer, or a comedian. I don't care what it is. Of course, you need support to get where you're going, but ain't nobody actually do that work. They did that off of their own. Like my boy said earlier, CJ said earlier, they got it out the mud, grinding to get where they went. They don't owe nobody nothing. Now, should they help their family and their close people who did help them along the way to get where they need to go in their career? Yeah. That's called love again. Love don't forget. Love is always prevalent of what it needs to do to be prevalent in whatever situation it is. So if that's a comedian that like I heard a story about Steve Harvey, how bad he was. They say he was well, not even Steve Harvey, like Charlie Wilson, the singer. They say he used to sleep under the truck at the truck stop before he got famous. And that man kept singing and kept keeping the faith and kept singing and kept singing. Now he's famous. Came from the Gap Band. Before the Gap Band, he was homeless. Charlie Wilson don't owe nobody nothing. God blessed him through his career to get where he at. It's a big difference between a mega church pastor and an entertainer. The mega church these pastors ain't doing no work. They barely get up there and talk for 10 minutes. The message be 10 minutes long, but they want these big old offerings and stuff.
Gotcha.
It's a big difference, Rudy.
Gotcha. All right. Appreciate you.
Rudy.
Yeah, I'm coming back to you, Just. Hold on. Let me pull you up. All right, go ahead.
So, in response to what Drew just said, what do you do with the preachers who put in all of that same work? Because there are preachers who, like the brother said in the beginning, T.D. Jakes, is a mega church pastor today, but he didn't start out a mega church pastor. He started off much different than where he is today. And he put in a lot of work. A lot of people started to find value in what he said. And over the years, he's become what he is today. So he put in that same work. Now, it was for the Lord, and it could be argued that the Lord blessed him to make that happen. Some would probably say something different, but that could be a legitimate argument. So what do you do when preachers are putting in work and going without and making sacrifices to help people, and then it just happens for one of those preachers that the right person hears it and likes it, and then life changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I respond to that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right,
Hold on. Let me bring you up to the spotlight. Hold on one second. All right, go ahead.
So when you got a preacher like that, that goes back to that love thing again. He's operating in love, God's love. So whatever he's doing to help the church and help his people prosper, and help not so much prosper, but also be prosperous, and make sure their life is a quality life instead of a not so quality life. If he's doing that, then he's doing what God said do anyway, which is love the people. If he's loving the people and he's not living a mega church mega church pastor life, that's what I respect about the pastors that do that, because they're doing it for the right reasons. And anybody that reverence God, I wouldn't want to be around here treating his people wrong, because that's gonna come back worse on you. So and that's my opinion, but any pastor that's doing the right thing, then even if at any point he don't make the money that mega church pastor is making, in my opinion, that pastor is more blessed and his church is more blessed. And if you go to that church versus that mega church, most of the time you're probably gonna see more of the people prospering and doing well in their life, because that pastor ain't trying to get them people's rent and Tico or electric bill, or ain't trying to get your bills to take care of the church. They're telling you to give out of your heart, because the Lord deals with the heart, and whatever you give, you'll be blessed from that, as long as you don't give, as long as you give it freely. So any other pastors that's not talking it like that and saying that, just like Joy was saying earlier, pray to God for whatever you need to pay your bills. Get that money here, get that money now, and the Lord gonna bless you then. Lord ain't say nothing in the Bible about be no dummy. He ain't say nothing in the Bible about that. So I'm not gonna give you what I need to live. I'm gonna give you what the Lord allows me to give you, and that's the way to be blessed. I'm not gonna give you what I don't have. And the pastor shouldn't be asking for what you don't have, because at the end of the day, that's gonna fall on him. And we ain't in church, but the scriptures say it's gonna come a time where the Lord, they're gonna have them preachers saying, well, Lord, I saved these people in your name, and I did this in your name and all that. And he's gonna say, I never knew you, because you didn't do it in his name. You would do it in your name. So when I look at the church, I've been heavily affected by it. I do not like the pastor living on a high horse and everybody else struggling. It just that don't say God to me. That says greedy to me. That's what that says to me. It ain't, because they're not doing nothing for the people, and that's what the church is based on. So if they're doing it for themselves, that's a bad road to go down, So I just feel like whoever's doing it for the right reasons, may the Lord bless you with much more than what you have even.
I think it can look like a pastor living like a celebrity if the congregation is like pouring into him due to the fact that he's actually like saving lives. You get what I'm saying? But like you remember the TV show, the Pastors of LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they saying that came off as distasteful because there's pastors as, you know, living lavish and showing like different things. At the end of the day, if the congregation know the pastor's heart, I don't think it doesn't matter what anyone else says outside of that, because how like the what the pastor is actually teaching and leading from their heart, it's going to radiate in a, you know what I'm saying, a positive manner. So everyone's going to naturally just become prosperous, you know what I mean? So like, I don't, it's, and we in a time of like TVs in our phones now. You know what I mean? So like, it's everything is like content driven and based now. So I don't think at this point, like back in the day, it was different. You know what I mean? Because everything cost, it was very expensive to try to get a name or to try to do this and the third. I'm pretty sure pastors that started out in the basement during this time, they would have, you know, say they would have like had a camera, you know, walking around with them, showing the progress and documenting it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, art, everything is artistry. You know what I mean? Like even being a pastor is artistry, because you have to still allow the Lord to use you just like a musician, just like anything. You know what I mean? Because that's just how life is. And for the prestige of the pastor position, yes, it comes with a responsibility, but at the same time, they're still humans too and have a personal life. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, I'm not saying it's okay to see like a pastor like in a porno or something like that, but like at the end of the day, like just that's just if that's the lifestyle they choose, the only person that they're gonna really have the answer to is the Lord.
I feel like a pastor can live good, like I said before, he shouldn't be or she shouldn't be compared to Beyonce or Taylor Swift, because they ain't got nothing to do with my salvation. The Lemonade album don't got nothing to do with it. All it let me know is that Jay-Z cheated way back in the house. So a comedian, Beyonce, they are entertainment. We paying to get what we want. How you saying come as you are, come with nothing, and then you turn around and go, all right, we finna get a benediction. You done took up, I ain't talking about one offering. You done have 4 offerings. And you are a part of delivering the Lord's message. No, I think entertainers is entertainers, comedians, singers, all that. That's different. That's totally different. And they deserve. I mean, I feel like preachers, whatever, they can live good. They can, you know, just don't throw it in our face and you know that we struggling.
Right.
Because when we give Beyonce our money, she don't care whether our lights on, but she ain't up there saying, y'all going to heaven. That part.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no, it's not the same. But they can live and dress good and everything else. I mean, you know, I appreciate seeing that. You know, don't nobody want no dirty preacher standing up there. But at the end of the day, they're not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same thing.
I'm gonna start with your last question first. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. And it didn't just say to whom much is given to preachers, much is required of the preachers. That's all of us. That's the Beyonce, that's preachers, that's you, that's me. To whom much is given, much is required. We are accountable to give back in relation to how we've been given to. So with that, I don't feel like there's more responsibility on a pastor than it is on a Beyonce or on a whoever. I often have said that I think Beyonce and those make so much money, then why doesn't she have a concert with affordable tickets for anybody? It's because people are spending their rent and mortgage and house notes to go to her concerts. And so she's made so much, then how come she can't have a concert, maybe not free, but have $50 tickets, $100 tickets or something like that, so the average person can go without breaking themselves. So that's a whole nother thing. But I think to whom much is given, much is required, no matter who you are. That's all of us. As for getting back to the pastors and living, my fundamental bottom line is, it really doesn't matter to me because they have to stand before God. So if they've been one of those pastors that have been misusing funds and raping and pillaging the people for their own lifestyle, guess what? They got to stand before God and account for that. Do I condone that? No. But I think what has happened in society now is just like, if I buy a Toyota Corolla and it was a lemon, then I'm done with Toyota Corollas. That one car was a lemon. It doesn't mean all of them had that malfunction, but now I got a kind of bad taste in my mouth for them. And so, yes, are there pastors out there that are, money hungry and misusing money and, getting the people to give their last and using it on themselves? Probably so, yes. But are there pastors? There's a scripture that talks about the elders are worthy of double honor. Those that really labor in word and doctrine should be remunerated, because that's a hard job. A pastor's job is a pastor that's really pastoring is 24/7. People can call them any time of the night. They got to study in the word, they got to pray, they got to be available, they got to do this, they got to do that. And if they're really pastoring, it's a hard job. And so if they, a lot of ours doesn't, but a lot of pastors get an actual salary. They get paid every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. If they take their salary and whatever they want to do with their salary is whatever they want to do with their salary. Whatever I want to do with my salary, I do it with my salary. So they invest it or spend it however they want to do it. That's their salary. And as Justin has said several times, and a lot of them have businesses outside of the church that bring in money for them and their families. So I just don't want us to diminish the role of a pastor and not see it as a real job. Those who have really been called, they've been called to a work, and it's work. Even if you've worked in ministry and not be a pastor, it's work. And so a pastor standing at the helm, it is a lot of work, a lot of people demanding and pulling on them and the expectations and all of that. And so if God blesses them to have whatever kind of car they choose to drive, that's them. People see people giving in the offering and automatically think the pastor is taking all of that offering, or the pastor is, and a pastor who's about the Lord's business is not. It's not, they're not going in there taking it and spending it on themselves. Now, are there some that do? I grant you, probably so. We all know of some, but in general, for true pastors that are leading flocks and care about the people and called of the Lord, the scripture says they are worthy of double honor, and they are worthy. We shouldn't muzzle the ox that treads the corn. So it is scriptural to take care of the pastor. Is it scriptural for him to say, take care of me and you can't even pay your light bill? No. But I just don't want us to diminish the role of any pastor who's truly pastoring. And the more people that they pastor, the more demands that are pulling. And then they have to pray for people. So they hear everything, everybody's problems, everything. And they have to try to, be concerned and pray and help and all of that. And so the pastor's role is real work. Just like, when we work on our jobs. And yes, I feel the Beyoncés of the world, they are accountable. God has blessed them to make that kind of money. They ought to do something to give back to the people that's supporting them, because those people too are spending their light bills and mortgages and stuff, to go see them perform and to buy their music or whatever it is. So I agree a little bit with what everybody has said, but whether or not they can or should, if God has blessed them to do that and they're doing the work of the Lord, I think Drew has said too, and Brandon, they are doing what God has told them to do, and he blesses them that way, God bless you, Pastor. You know, have at it.
Tim, I agree and disagree with some of all of what I've heard. In reference to the main topic, pastors and their particular lifestyles, I think we've all kind of come to the general consensus that as long as they're going about it the right way, you know, if a pastor just say has, you know, a real estate company that brings him in, you know, millions of dollars, and as a result of that, you know, decides to, you know, take him and his family to Dubai or whatever like that for vacation, you know, I mean, how can you blame him? And even if, let's just say he gets a salary from the church and he just saved up, you know, let's just say he's only getting like, I don't know, 30,000 a year from the church, but he saved up over the years to be able to take that same trip, you know, by all means. But obviously, if you're doing anything wrong, whether you're, you know, screwing over your congregation or even screwing over other people. Like if you got a real estate company and you're a pastor and you're screwing over people with, you know, the buildings that you're selling them, I mean, I think you're still just as wrong. So I think as long as you're going about it the right way, I don't think it's a crime to have money I don't think it's sinful to have money or to, you know, have a Lamborghini or whatever the case may be. But I do understand also how it can be very distasteful that even if you've able to afford a certain lifestyle outside of church and the church's giving, but yet the people who you take care of, you're not necessarily doing anything to help them. And you don't necessarily have to do anything financially to help them. I'm not saying you have to necessarily give them all your money, but even if you're teaching them, I think CJ or somebody said it earlier, like you're teaching them how to come out of debt or, you know, be able to manage money or have financial literacy, or even if they don't necessarily, I don't know if there's a realistic way of everybody in the church driving a Lambo, you know what I'm saying? But if you can see the fruit of your labor where you've acquired a certain type of knowledge and then you know, are passing it along so that other people can not only be just say financially literate, but even be, you know, physically healthy, spiritually healthy, mentally healthy, become better fathers, become better husbands, become better wives, become better mothers, you know, be better in school, all the above. I think all of that is the role of somebody who's in charge of a flock and not just the financial aspect. And then lastly, to me, when it comes down to just say entertainers versus preachers, I am definitely on the side that I feel like everybody should be in the spirit of giving back, and not even just individuals as far as the Beyonce, Jay-Z's. I think even movie studios, you know what I'm saying? Like, we give, though I agree with everybody that we give our government a hard time about sending all this money overseas, but you know, our favorite movie studios, I mean, they spend hundreds of millions and billions of dollars just to make a film that may make them more billions or may flop, you know, and I don't think that it would, you know, hurt them to use some of that money instead of paying to try to make an expensive movie. You know, they could, you know, just say help, you know, create affordable housing for people who are on the street, or, you know, whether they donate to HBCUs or whether they, you know, I don't know, pay, you know, rent in a certain community, whatever the case may be. But I think that individuals inside the church, individuals outside the church, and even entities outside the church, I feel like um, you're in the position that you're in because yes, you're providing a product, but people are spending their hard-earned money on the product that you are providing, and even sometimes people are spending their last, and as a result, it wouldn't hurt you to pour back into the people who are even allowing you to be as wealthy and as, you know, financially stable as you are. So I feel like the responsibility, you know, falls on everybody. I understand why there's a higher expectation on pastors because you are in ministry and you have a different, just say, path that you're taking. But nonetheless, in my eyes, I think it's kind of equal across the board because you're still pulling from the same people who are going to church, or the same people who are supporting that movie or who are supporting that concert or who are, you know, whatever the case may be. And as a result, you know, and even do things that isn't just a tax write-off that you can get back later. You know, even if you don't necessarily benefit from it, but somebody else can benefit from it and they can have a better life. You know, pay for scholarships for kids to go to school, whatever it is. I think that, you know, as a collective, we could all do more. So